Saral Japani, Japanese learning made easy. Konnichiwa minasan. Hello friends, how are you? Welcome to Saral Japani YouTube channel, a place where we talk about Japan and Japanese. This series called Elementary Japanese is a crash course for JLPT N5 N4 levels. This is the ninth video of this series, and in this series we are following the Japanese textbook for beginners titled Elementary Japanese by Yoko Hasegawa. We are at lesson 3 and the title of the lesson is Places. Today is the first part of this lesson in which we shall be talking about existential verbs, the topic marker wa and the location marker ni. Elementary Japanese Volume 1 by Yoko Hasegawa, and this is the content of lesson 3 from that book, which is Places. So as you can see here, there are several parts of this lesson. The first one is a dialogue. As you can see here, there is a post office near campus. If you can read hiragana, you should be able to read this. Daigaku no chikaku ni yubin kyoku ga arimasu. So this is the main conversation based on which all these content of this chapter has been designed, and dialogue and usage has been presented here. So, and then the next part is the grammar part, in which existential verbs, the topic marker wa, location marker ni, and some other things have been discussed. Then we have the third section in the form of exercises covering all these part. And then we introduce the kanji, the ideographic writing system kanji in this chapter as well. So this will be the first introduction to kanji in this course. So in this way, there are basically 4 sections in this lesson 3. So like the previous lesson, we shall begin with the grammar part first, because unless you do all this grammar, you won't be able to make out what this conversation is all about and what's going on in that conversation. So let's begin with grammar. Then we do this conversation, then we will do the exercises, and then finally we will deal with the kanji. Okay, so let's start with grammar. So this is the front page. This is the first page of lesson 3 places. You can see here there is a conversation going on. So as I mentioned, we will come back to this once we have done the grammar part. So let's proceed to grammar. Grammar is called bunpo. As you can see here, this is bun, this is po, and for your convenience, it has been written here in hiragana, bunpo. Bunpo means grammar in Japanese. So these are the topics that we are going to discuss in this lesson. And in today's video, in this today's lecture, we shall be dealing with 3A, 3B and 3C only. That is existential verbs, the topic marker wa and the location marker ni. So wa and ni are called particles of Japanese grammar, and we shall see, although we have discussed the wa particle in our previous lessons, because that is the most fundamental particle that without which you cannot even make a simple sentence. So this will keep coming again and again while we study, because there is more to it. The wa particle, the ni particle, there is more than one usage of these particles. So we cannot discuss everything in the same lesson. The different usages of a particle cannot be explained in the same lesson. So depending on what context we are discussing in a lesson, we shall introduce that particular usage of a particular particle in that lesson. So today again, for the second time, we shall be discussing the topic marker wa and the new particle ni, which will be used to mark a location, will be explained. So let's begin with the first topic, existential verbs. So as you can see here, there are two structures of sentences written here. Location ni, subject ga, arimas, imas, irasshaimasu. And now interchanging the location and the subject, we have subject wa, location ni, arimas, imas, irasshaimasu. Now we can see here that the ni particle is always with the location. That means the location always follows a the ni particle always follows a location that is fixed. But when it comes to subject, in the first situation there is ga after subject, and in the second case there is va after subject. So va and ga, both of these are particles. Va is the topic marker, ga is the subject marker. So please don't get confused. We will discuss at length. So today we will keep ga particle, discussion of ga particle aside, because that is a completely different uh, topic and subject. So we have to deal with that in detail in a subsequent lesson. So we will, some basic introduction we will definitely give in this video about the ga particle, but this video will primarily focus on the va particle. So location ni subject ga arimas, imas or irasshaimas, and subject va location ni arimas, imas, irasshaimas. So now let's look into each part of these two sentences in detail. First thing, we begin with arimas. Arimas is used when the subject is a thing. That means a non-living object or inanimate, you can say. Imas when it is a human, animal, etc. That means living organism. Then, but again, the plants will be treated under this thing. So it will be arimas. When you talk about plants, it will be arimas. So now what does that mean, arimas and imas? So you might think that we already discussed this, right? So this means is or to be. Now arimas and imas also means the same. They also indicate the existence of something. So this, you as you know, it indicates the existence of something. For example, Watashi no namae wa Sujoy desu. My name is Sujoy. So the existence of the name Sujoy is told by the des, which is a verb, but it is not a definitive verb. The difference is that it is not a definitive verb. It just indicates the existence. But when we use arimas or imas, I repeat one more time, arimas is used for inanimate objects or things, and imas is used for animate objects like human beings and animals. All sorts of animals and human beings will be represented by imas. So now what is the difference between arimas, imas and des? Des is a very generic verb which indicates the existence of something, and arimas and imas, they also indicate the existence of something, but they are very specific. They can even indicate the existence of something at some place or on something else. For example, the book is on the table. If you say, then you cannot use this here because this will not be applicable in this case. This cannot tell you the location of that object. It will just tell you about the existence of the object, but where it is existing, this cannot qualify that. That will be qualified by arimas. So you can say that tsukue no ue ni hon ga arimasu. That means there is book on the table. So here you have to use arimas. You cannot use this here. So this is the difference between arimas, imas and des. And the location is marked with the ni particle. The another thing is that irasshaimasu, we didn't talk about it. So the use of irasshaimasu is necessary when you are supposed to show respect to the person referred to by the subject. So this is not that popular. You can always say arimas or imas. Irasshaimasu, maybe for example, if you are talking about your sensei, if the subject is a sensei or a very renowned or very respectable person, then in place of imas, you can write irasshaimasu. You can say irasshaimasu instead of imas. So that is the use of irasshaimasu here. So this is the thing. So now let's look at these examples. Tsukue no ue ni hon ga arimasu. So tsukue means table or a desk. No particle means the position indicator. Ue means above or on something. So tsukue no ue means on the table. That means tabletop. Table's top. So this is tsukue no ue. Now since this is a location, ue is above or on something. So this is indicating some location. So location ni. So that's why tsukue no ue ni. Subject is hon, which is book. Then ga will be there as per the rule, ga particle, ga arimas. Since this is an inanimate object, book is an inanimate object, so it will be arimas. It will not be imas, it will not be irasshaimasu, it will be arimas. So literally, if we translate this to English, it will be on the desk there is a book. Tsukue no ue ni, that means on the desk. Hon ga arimasu, there is a book. There lies a book. Or now if you want to restructure it in English, then it will be there is a book on the desk. There is a book on the desk. Now suppose you reorder the tabletop and the book. What will happen? If you say hon wa tsukue no ue ni arimasu, then the sentence, the translation will be the book is on the table. The book is on the table. So what is the difference between the two? There is a book on the table and the book is on the table. So the difference is that in the first case, it's a generic book. We don't know which book is that. We just know that there is a book on the table. So on the table is more focused here. The book is more focused here. Sorry, there is a book on the desk. So the focus, the uh, the emphasis is on the book, that there is a book on the table. So because we didn't know what was there on the table, so when you are saying such things, then the thing that is on the known thing will be having more emphasis. There is a book on the desk. So that's why hon ga arimasu. So arimasu is a particle which can indicate some kind of emphasis or importance. So in this sentence, the hon is more important than the tsukue no ue. So after hon we have the ga. So we will explain it a bit little more in the next page. And in the second case, hon wa tsukue no ue ni arimasu. The book is on the desk. Here it is, the meaning is that one specific book is on the desk. That means we know which book we are talking about. So where is that book? That book is on the table. So now here the importance is on the table, because everybody knows that the book exists somewhere, but where we don't know. So where it exists on the table. So on the table is more important here. So that's why, since hon is not important, so hon is followed by wa, and there is no ga particle here. It's not hon ga tsukue no ue ni arimasu, because here hon is not important. Here more important thing is tsukue no ue. But here the book was more important, because we know something is there on the top of the table, but what is that? It's the book. So book gets the emphasis in this sentence. Although both sentences can be used to depict the same physical situation, they are not interchangeable. So this means that although the meaning is the same, that there is a book on the table, so that the fundamental physical situation of this example is the same in both the cases, but they are not interchangeable. That means we cannot write this sentence in place of this if we want to convey some definitive meaning. So these two sentences are not the same. Tsukue no ue ni hon ga arimasu and hon wa tsukue no ue ni arimasu have different meaning. As I just mentioned, that in one case there is a book on the desk, and the second one, a specific book is on the desk. Now next is number 2. Number 2 means this second line, hon wa tsukue no ue ni arimasu. Number 2 cannot be used unless you believe that the addressee already knows which book you are talking about. So this is the thing, that We know addressee means to whom you are talking to. He also knows which book you are talking about. So that's why the book is not important. The tabletop is more important here. So that same meaning is conveyed here. Note that Japanese does not have different nouns or verbs for singular and plural entities. So these two sentences can also mean there are books on the desk and the books are on the desk. So that is also possible. So from the context or from other sentences in the conversation, we may be knowing if there is one book or more books, but from the since there is no plural of hon, for example, so we cannot tell by looking at a single sentence whether they are talking about a single book or many books. So this is another thing. Next is the negative form of mas is masen. Mas. So mas, if you see arimas, imas, irasshaimasu, so all these verbs they end in mas. This is called the mas form of the verb. This is an ending, verb ending. We will learn more about it when we introduce the kanji and the verb conjugation. And in that lesson, we will learn more about that from where this mas comes. But for now, just keep this in mind that mas is the normal positive form and masen is the negative form. The um, present affirmative form and masen is the present negative form. And note that the negative counterpart of this location ni subject ga arimas will be location ni subject wa arimasen. So here we will not use ga particle anymore because now this is to negate something. That means the importance is lost. So ga will not be used. Emphasis will be removed from this negative sentence. This use of wa will be explained in lesson 6 in the section 6H. So this is too early for that to understand why we are not using ga in the negative sentences. We will explain in lesson 6. So forget about it for the moment. Now 3, 4 and 5, three more examples of conversations using this. So let's see what are those. This is Son-san. She says, Mira-san no heya ni, this is radio. Radio means radio. Radio ga arimasu ka? Now arimas is to exist, and if you add ka, then this becomes a question. That means, do you have? So Mira-san, Mira, this is Miller, Mr. Miller. Mira-san no heya ni, heya means room. Ni radio ga arimasu ka? That means, is there a radio in Mr. Miller's room? Heya means room. So he replies, Ie, watashi no heya ni radio wa arimasen. So this is to explain this concept that in the question it was ga, but since the answer is in negative masen, so ga will become wa here. So Ie, watashi no heya ni radio wa arimasen. Similarly, another sentence, Son-san says, Noto wa tsukue no ue ni arimasu ka? That means, is the notebook on the table? Mira-san says, Ie, noto wa tsukue no ue ni arimasen. So again, this will be wa only. So here there is no ga. So since they are talking about a specific notebook, so on the table is more important here. So there is no question of wa or ga in this sentence. So both will be wa. Another one, Son-san says, Ishikawa sensei wa ofiso ni irasshaimasu ka? That means, is Ishikawa sensei in the office? So since it is they are talking about their sensei, so in place of imas they have written irasshaimasu. Ie, Ishikawa sensei wa ofiso ni irasshaimasen. No, Ishikawa sensei is not in the office. So in this way you can see the use of ga, wa and masen in different examples. So this was existential verbs imas, irasshaimasu and arimasu. Now we will move to the second topic of today's lecture, which is topic marker wa. In grammar classes, we were told that the subject is the person or thing that we are talking about. However, the topic is also an entity that we are talking about. Are they the same? So, well, frequently, but not always. So now in English grammar, we rarely talk about something called topic in a sentence. We just talk about subject and the predicate, and we know that subject is the thing that we are talking about or the person we are talking about, and the rest of the sentence containing the verbs or adjectives or other nouns constitute the predicate. But in Japanese, what happens? There is a concept of topic as well, which is different from subject. So as they have mentioned here, frequently subject and topic are the same, but not always. Now, when they are not the same, then there is a specific use of va and ga particles. But when they are the same, then there arises the confusion which one to use, va or ga. The subject is a notion that directly relates to the predicate. So how to differentiate between subject and topic if they are different in a sentence? Subject is a notion that directly relates to the predicate. That means whatever verb, adjective, and other things are there in the predicate, the subject with whom those are related will be the subject. The word which, the noun which relates to these actions or adjectives or qualities will be the subject of the sentence. So that could be the topic as well. That could not be the topic as well. Generally, when there is a predicate, there is a subject. Topic, on the other hand, is a broader notion. We can talk about the topic of a sentence or paragraph or even of a book. Frequently, the topic appears as the subject, but not always. In sentences like, fish I hate, the topic fish is the direct object of the predicate hate. Now let's look at a simpler sentence. For example, if I say, today, or maybe, let's take, tomorrow it is going to rain. Suppose this is the sentence. So in Japanese, how do we say? Ashita wa ame ga furimasu. Okay, so it will be ashita wa ame ga furimasu. Now here the verb is furimasu. That means falling of the rain. Furimasu means to fall. So ame means rain. So if the verb is to fall, then what falls? The rain is falling. That means in the predicate we have the furimas verb. So the subject will be the word which is being described by that verb. So what is falling? Rain is falling. So rain is the subject in this example. That means ame is the subject. So ashita wa ame ga furimasu. So ame is the subject, furimas, ga furimas is the predicate, and tomorrow, ashita, that is the topic of this sentence. That means the topic we are discussing about tomorrow, and what is going to happen tomorrow? Rain is going to fall. So ashita is the topic, ame is the subject, and ga furimas is the predicate. So now here, as you can see, ame, after ame it's the ga particle, because that is the subject, and that has the more emphasis, that is more emphasized, because tomorrow, although it's this topic tomorrow, but tomorrow is not important. What is important is what is going to happen tomorrow, which is rain. So after rain, after ame, it will be the ga particle, and we cannot use ga particle after topic will always be followed by the va particle. So it will always be ashtava amega furimas. If you say ashtava ameva furimas, that is also grammatically correct, but it doesn't sound good. So better to use ga particle to emphasize the subject rather than using va particle. So we will learn about it later. As I already mentioned, it's not there in this chapter. I just gave you some additional information. So we will discuss it again when it appears in one of the lessons. Va is the topic marker which can mark the subject only when the referred entity is known by both the speaker and the addressee, as we studied in the previous section. Tsukue no ue ni hon ga arimasu. There is a book on the desk. can be uttered if there is a book on the desk, but hon wa tsukue no ue ni arimasu, the book is on the desk, is meaningful only when the addressee knows which book you are talking about, because the topic needs to be identifiable by both the speaker and the addressee. So in this sentence, hon is the topic, and in the first sentence it is the tsukue no ue which is the topic, hon is the subject, and arimasu is the verb. So in the first sentence, topic is tsukue no ue, subject is hon, that's why it follows the ga particle. And in the second sentence, hon wa tsukue no ue ni arimasu, here hon is the topic of the sentence, because we are starting it with book and we are talking about a particular book, so that is the topic. So that's why it is followed by the wa particle. Because the topic needs to be identifiable by both the speaker and addressee, WH interrogative words like which, when, why, words cannot appear as a topic, because when it is an interrogation, we do not know the what the answer is. So for in that case, for example, darewa imaska, that means who is there, is unnatural in Japanese. We cannot say dare wa imasu. We have to say dare ga imasu, because the topic is unknown here. So that's why it cannot be the topic. Dare cannot be the topic here, because this is just a interrogation word and it's not identifiable by both the speaker and the addressee. Next comes the location marker ni. So before coming to this, so as I told you earlier, there is more to va particle which will come again and again in the forthcoming lessons. So for now, whatever we are discussing in this lesson, just keep that in mind and don't get confused. Don't think too much. Whatever is being explained, just practice that. Location marker ni. Ni is used with a word of location to indicate that a certain thing or person exists in that place. The location word can be a proper name or a relational word such as top of, under, in front of, behind, next to, etc. So in English we use all these words: on the top of the table, under the table, in front of the table, behind the table. So in Japanese also there are specific words to describe these things, but with after each of these words we have to use the ni particle. So that is a common particle which will always follow the location indicator. So let's take some example. Yosemite is located in California, or we can also say that Yosemite is in California. Then in Japanese, how do we write that? Yose mite wa California ni arimasu. Yosemite wa California ni arimasu. Yosemite is in California. Okay. Then Yosemite wa California ni arimasu. So this is the location. California's Yosemite is the location, so that will be followed by ni particle, and then arimasu means to exist, is. This is the is. So you cannot use this here, as I mentioned earlier. Next example is the restroom is next to the office. Next to the. This is the location indicator. So otearai. Otearai means the restroom or the toilet. Otearai wa ofiso no tonari ni arimasu. Tonari means next to. So this is katakana ofisu. Ofisu. Otearai wa ofisu no tonari ni arimasu. The restroom is next to the office. So again, ni particle follows the location indicator. And then we have Ishikawa sensei wa Son-san no tonari ni irasshaimasu. Ishikawa sensei is next or is sitting next to Son-san. So in the first case, it was a proper name of the place, and in the next two, these are relational word, and in both cases tonari has been used. We can use other words as well, which we will see in the next slide. So here we go. So there are several locations, as you can see. In the first one, this puppy is sitting on the top of the table. So it will be X no ue ni. Ue means top. So X, if X is the table, then tsukue no ue ni. If it is bed, then beddo no ue ni. So how do we say? There is a dog on the table. Tsukue no ue ni inu ga imasu. Okay, tsukue no ue ni inu ga imasu. That means there is a dog on the table. And we can also say, if we are talking about a particular dog, this dog, then it will be inu wa tsukue no ue ni imasu. The dog is on the desk. That means we know, both the speaker and the listener knows where the dog is. Next, similarly, X no shita ni, below X or under X. X no shita. Shita means under. So inu wa tsukue no shita ni imasu. The dog is under the desk. X no mae ni. Mae means in front of. So inu wa neko no mae ni imasu. Neko means cat. Inu means dog. So inu wa neko no mae ni imasu. The dog is in front of the cat. Next is behind. Behind is ushiro. Ushiro. So X no ushiro ni imasu. So this is now the dog is behind the cat. So inu wa neko no ushiro ni imasu. The dog is behind the cat. X no tonari ni, X no naka ni. X no naka ni means inside X or in X. So heya no naka, that means inside the room. So here the dog is inside the dog house. So it will be inu wa inugo heya ni inogya. So this is inu goya. Inu goya. Inu goya means dog house. So inu wa inu goya no naka ni imasu. So inu goya no naka means inside the dog house. Inu wa inu goya no naka ni imasu. The dog is in the dog house, or dog is inside the dog house. Near X. X no chikaku ni. Chikaku means near. So inu wa inu goya no chikaku ni imasu. The dog is near the dog house. So in this way, you can use any relational location indicator, and after that you have to use the ni particle. This is how you write this. One more. X no tonari ni. X no yoko ni. So tonari means next to X, and yoko means beside X. So there is a difference. Next to and beside. So where you want to use next to X, you have to write tonari. When you want to use beside, then you have to use yoko. So inu wa neko no tonari ni imasu, or inu wa neko no yoko ni imasu. The dog is next to the cat, the dog is beside the cat. In certain cases, both may be interchangeable. So let's see what they have written here. X no tonari ni, next to X, and X no yoko ni, beside X, are similar in meaning and thus sometimes interchangeable, as I just mentioned. However, while X no yoko ni can be used for a broad range of objects, the use of X no tonari ni is very limited. In X no tonari ni Y ga arimasu, both X and Y are similar entities of cultural or personal significance. For example, people, animals, houses, countries, facilities, furniture, visual symbols, pictures, letters, characters, articles, books. So what does that mean? That means you can use tonari only if the two things you are comparing are from the same category. Since here both are animals, or pet animals, then you can use tonari. But if they are different, like say for example, you are talking about a person is next to a building, in that case you have to use yoko. You cannot use tonari because person and building are two different, completely different things. So that's the thing. So friends, that's all about today's lesson. So I think this is adequate for you to digest in one video. So we have covered existential verbs, that is arimas, imas, and irasshaimasu. Then we discussed something more about the va particle, the topic marker, and gave you some basic idea about topic and subject of a sentence and the difference between them. And then we discussed the location marker, ni particle, and we talked about various positional locations indicators like next to, on the, under, and so on. So so uh, I'm sorry why so this updating has gone, but anyway, we were already done with the today's lesson, so I will see you again in the next lesson. Thanks for watching this video, and please join us in our next video. Bye for now.